That's 3.1 trillion. Sorry, 31 trillion. Okay. 31,000 billion. So we have 31,000 billion debt and liabilities. And if you look at the foreign exposure, the total foreign borrowings were about $97 billion, roughly $100 billion. And the amount of interest just paid this year alone was 2,000 billion. 2 trillion were paid by this government this year alone for interest payments, and in the coming year that number will be 3 trillion, close to 3 trillion, 2.9 trillion. And to give you an idea, the revenue target is expected to be 5.5 trillion and the interest payments are supposed to be 3 trillion. So this is on the debt side. If you look at the fiscal deficit, meaning the difference between how much we earn and how much we spend, was 2.3 trillion for just 1 year alone. And if you look at the further exposure, okay, how do we pay back this $100 billion of loans? We can by selling our products, by exports. Now, exports what is the growth rate of exports in the last 5 years? What's the percentage growth in exports in the last 5 years? 0%. So exports rose by 0% in 5 years. In fact, in 10 years, they have risen by roughly 0%. And the gap between what you are importing and exporting had reached like, I don't know, a very high number, like $40 billion. So you have no capacity to generate the dollars to pay back your loans. You are importing virtually everything. Your exports are zero. You have a person in charge of the economy who thinks that the exchange rate is a sign of manhood and wants to keep it at a certain level. And this is where you are. So I think we have a very peculiar situation approaching, or rather, not even approaching, but sort of in an economic crisis. And I worked in this country, of course, and I advised maybe 20 plus other countries in the world, and this situation is, quite, how should I say, it's quite alarming. So, that's the basic scenario that we have. On the one hand, an exposure on the foreign side, external side. On the other hand, a problem on the domestic side, on the fiscal side. And these twin deficits are interacting. And what happened in the last 2 years of the previous government is that the foreign exchange reserves went down from roughly, 19 billion to less than 9 billion. So clearly we had to take immediate steps to ward off the threat, the immediate threat. Funds had to be mobilized from the three, friendly countries. We had to get into a deferred payment arrangement of 2.3 billion with Saudi Arabia, another 1+ billion with Islamic Development Bank. We had to go to the IMF. And so, we have to ask this question, which everybody is, that why are we going to the IMF? And what does it mean for us? So the reason we are going to the IMF is because the 6 billion plus we get from them are at a level of interest which is lower than what you generally get. And that's why the IMF exists, to support member countries when they have balance of payments type problems or when they face macroeconomic instability. The second reason we are going to the IMF is because other international donor agencies take a cue from the IMF, and we can get $2 to $3 billion additional from other sources. And the third, perhaps the most important reason we are going to the IMF, because we want to signal to the rest of the world that we are willing to undertake reforms, that we are willing to impose fiscal discipline upon ourselves, that we are willing to live within our means, that we are willing to start taking the difficult decisions to put this country straight. And that will matter in the international capital markets, it will matter to the investors, and it will matter, I think, to those who wish to see this country get on a platform from which a sustained growth trajectory can be achieved. So that's the reason for that. Now, I want to move towards this budget and what is being attempted. And I want to tell you that the budget is an iterative process. We presented a budget document, and we are still open to suggestions. This budget has been presented after a lot of consultation with a lot of stakeholders. Perhaps there are still areas that one can finesse, one can refine, one can acknowledge that can be improved. And that is part of the reason I'm here. To get your input, get your feedback, get your criticism. And even if you have something positive to say, I'll accept that as well. So now, what are the big areas that we want to focus on in this budget? The first is to try and secure the external front. And for that, what we are doing is trying to curtail some of the luxury goods, some of the other imports. If our rich want to eat, French brie or something, that's fine. If they want to drink Colombian coffee, that's fine. If they want to drink, Cuban cigars, that's fine. But they should pay a reasonable tax on it. And so what we want to do is take the luxury items and, focus on those to try and reduce the imports. At the same time, we want to increase the exports. So what are we doing? We are offering the business community electricity at lower prices. We are offering the business community gas at a lower price. We are offering the business community loans at lower prices. And the government is accepting to bear the cost of those subsidies. And those are reflected in the budget, and they run into more than 100 billion rupees. At the same time, so this is on the external front. Our second goal is to get the fiscal deficit under control. How can we do that? On the one hand, we have to raise the revenues. On the other hand, we have to be curtailing our expenditures. So we've set a target of 5,500 billion rupees on the revenue side. It's challenging, it's tough. But if we don't fulfill it, then we are not going to achieve the kind of macro stability that we need. And the chairman FBR is here, and we can have a Q&A on what are the main priorities of that. So on the revenue side, mainly, what are we trying to do? What we are saying is, look, everyone must contribute. The rich have to pay. We cannot have a situation where our tax to GDP ratio is 11%, while everyone around us has higher tax to GDP ratios. We cannot have a situation that only 380 companies pay about 80 to 85% of the total tax bill of this country. We cannot have a situation that there are 50 million people with bank accounts and only, 1 million or Shabar bhai kitna hai? 1 million or 2 million people? 1 million people pay taxes out of those 50 million bank account holders. And So those things have to change. And if it means upsetting some people, well, let it be. Now, there is a lot of conversation about businesses that export things. And some of their representatives, we've had good discussions. But there's a misperception that somehow their benefits are being taken away. They are not. All the exporters will continue to be zero rated. There will be no tax on them. But what we are saying is if you're exporting, great, no tax on you. But if you're also selling in this country like every other business, you must pay tax on that. So we have to make a distinction between a company's exports and its domestic sales. हमने textile sector को, which is a great industry, perhaps the most important industry in this country, we told them कि अगर आप 1200 रुपए यहाँ बेच रहे हैं product, 1200 billion, if you're selling 1200 billion rupees worth of cloth in Pakistan and paying only 6 billion taxes, that is not acceptable. And we cannot mix up the conversation. We salute you if you are exporting, and we show our appreciation by not taxing you anything. But you can't mix up the two and therefore say we will thrive in domestically but also be treated differently from everyone else by evading taxes domestically. So that's got to change. And we are going to try and work towards that in collaboration with them and, with a good understanding. The other point is that we are going to try and expand the base of people who pay taxes. There was an odd situation in this country that there was a category called non-filer. How can you have an official category called non-filer? So we've eliminated that. If you're a non-filer, but you are buying property, you are buying a car for 25 lakhs, well, you better explain where you got the money from. So we are going to give them 45 days after they buy a car or a property to become a filer. If they don't, on the 46th day, they will be automatically made a filer. And this is one of the very far-reaching steps in this budget. Because we cannot keep imposing taxes on the same 1.5 million people who have been paying taxes, who are honorable and decent citizens of this country, while others thrive and drive around, in their Hiluxes and live in the fancy neighborhoods that some of you also live in. So this is the other big, for the sake of the industry, we are eliminating tariffs on 1,655 lines of products. 1,655 lines. That means there are tens of thousands of raw materials where we are eliminating tariffs to 0%. So these are some of the, the details of some of the other steps we can talk about. On austerity, which is the second part of this fiscal, we are going to be aggressively pursuing a policy of curtailing expenditures. So what are we doing? We have to pay interest. We can't escape that. So 2.9 trillion will be paid for that. Who took those loans, whatever, that is history. The point is, at this moment, we have to pay in the coming year 2.9 trillion. And as a state, as a sovereign state, those commitments have to be fulfilled. Now, if we cannot escape, we also have to pay, constitutionally it's required to pay the share of our provinces from the revenue pool, which is roughly 57, which is precisely 57.5, and if you add AJK and, Gilgit-Baltistan and other places, it becomes about 60%. So you are left with 40%, out of which is going to be 3.6 trillion for the federal government, out of which 2.9 trillion will be paid as interest. So when somebody says, why is this government borrowing? Well, we are borrowing to pay the debts of the past. So where can we cut? We can cut in 3 places. The first is civilian government. And of course we are cutting. In spite of inflation, we are cutting. That number has been cut by 50 billion rupees in nominal terms. So if last year it was 480 billion, this year it's going to be 431. And we are cutting another place, which is an extraordinary and unprecedented development in Pakistan, for which I'm really thankful to the armed services, that we are freezing the budget of the armed services at last year's level. And this shows the resolve of both the army leadership and the civilian leadership to be on the same page. And for us to say that sacrifice must start at the top. So when we sat down to talk about salary increases, we said we will increase the salary of our workers up to from 1 grade to grade 16 by 10%. But when it will come to people beyond 16 grade, 17 to 20 grade, we will give them only 5%. And for grade 21 and 22, we will give them 0%. And for the cabinet, we will cut their salaries by 10%. And the same will apply to the armed services. So here we are, starting at the top. The Prime Minister's personal, the expenditures in the Prime Minister House have been brought down by 30+%. We do not want that, others cough up while the people at the top are thriving and prospering and buying properties all over the world. So let's shift now to where do we want to help? If we are going to go in a regime of reforms, if the international prices of fuel go up and we are forced to increase the price of electricity, who should we protect? Do we have a responsibility in the transition to protect some group of people? And if the answer is yes, then who should those people be? And what we are saying is that those people should be the most vulnerable people of Pakistan. Those should be the forgotten people of Pakistan. And so what we are saying is, we will, in the transition, protect our weakest. और अगर उनको दिक्कत है तो इस दौर में हमारा हाथ उनकी जानिब बढ़ना चाहिए। So as a result of that, the social sector, the social safety nets, where cash transfers are made, where health cards have been created to provide health insurance to the poor, where ration cards are being provided to protect them from malnutrition. These programs, we are doubling the allocation for those from 100 billion to 193 billion rupees. Second, we want to focus on the people who are, or the regions that have been left behind. So for that, because the districts of FATA have been merged with the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province, and we want to tell them that yes, we know you have suffered. Yes, we know you have been devastated by war and insurgency, and we want to support you. So we are giving 152 billion to those most underdeveloped districts of Pakistan. Again, because the idea is कि अगर थोड़े पैसे हैं लेकिन उनको इस अंदाज में इस्तेमाल करना है कि ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा जो नेशनल एक प्रायोरिटी है उसमें फ़ायदा हो, तो then we have to reach out and be very careful and selective in where we allocate those funds. And that's what we are doing. And we can have a conversation on that. The third thing is that if the prices of electricity go up, or if the prices of gas go up, I'm not saying that, that's likely to happen, but if it does, then we are allocating funds to protect the poor again. In electricity, for example, if you use less than 300 units and you are a small user, we will insulate you from any rise in the price of electricity. And we are allocating 216 billion rupees just to protect the lowest users of electricity. We don't want if people are heating their water in their swimming pools that they should be subsidized. But if you are using a single bulb and a single fan, then yes, we do want to be there for you in this transition. Now, I think it's also important that we focus on strengthening our institutions, because to sustain reforms we have to focus on our institutions. And one of those primary institutions is the State Bank of Pakistan. And we have a new governor. He's a dynamic person. We had to persuade him, muscle him into joining our government. And part of our effort is to give the State Bank the autonomy that it both legally deserves and economically deserves. So the exchange rate policies, the monetary policies, which are historically the domain of the State Bank, they will revert to them. And at the same time, we will also not be borrowing the way that we have from the State Bank. And this borrowing, which is inflationary, will cease from 1st of July. So this is a big step that we are taking to impose financial discipline and to give all the institutions the role that they need to play and to strengthen them. Okay, I have, I can go on, but perhaps it's better that we take a break from the speech. The important thing, remember, is that to achieve development, you have to do many things right. There is no single thing that you can come and say, well, I have a good idea. That idea is you have to do many things right. It may be boring, but the way it is. Second, what we have to do is difficult. But in life, the worthwhile things are difficult. We have two choices, either to abandon the pursuit or to redouble the effort. I think the people of Pakistan deserve that we redouble the effort. Thank you.
Thank you, Hafeez Sheikh Shah. We're going to open the session for Q&A, but we also want to acknowledge the presence of Governor State Bank, Dr. Baqir Raza. And we also, please avoid, don't turn your question into a dialogue. Keep your question short, identify yourself, and in the interest of time, keep it really short, because we want to give the opportunity to maximum number of people to pose questions. Jalal. No, yeah, okay.
My question is the political economy of reforms, sustainability of it. Latin America, South Korea, there's always an institutionalized political party that was backing the reforms. So whether it was Pinochet की government थी, वहाँ पे Chicago Club था, या Mexico में उनकी Republican Party थी, या even South Korea में था, या Conservative Party, even British politics. Now, in order for reforms to continue 10-15 year project, we need more than a person or a personal backing. Where do you see the institutionalized support for hardcore reforms? You mentioned the hard work in Pakistan. Do we have an institutionalized political party to do it, or any institution who's going to be there for the long run?
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Amir Jamil Abbasi. I am senior partner KPMG. My question relates to some of the budgetary measures that have been taken and the interest rates that have been adjusted and the exchange rate that have been adjusted. Last night I was hearing Mr. Hafeez Pasha. He mentioned that if we had actually put the interest rate at about 10%, the impact on the budget would have been around 500 billion, and you would have been able to reduce the budget revenue estimates to about 5 trillion instead of 5.5 trillion. And he thought that getting to 5.5 trillion target is going to be a Herculean task. So I just want your views on what actually I heard last night.
So we'll take the final question from the front row, and that is the political question.
Yeah.
So we're going to take 3 questions and then move on. Faisal, you want to pose your question? And then Hafeez Sheikh Sahab, I'll request you to answer these 3.
Thank you, sir. 2-3 बातें मेरे ख्याल में मैं करना चाहूँगा. Sir, we loaded question.
सबसे उम्दा वाली.
Basically, one from Shabbar Saab. He has been a very vocal supporter. GDP में almost more than 20% comes from agriculture. The Federation says that agriculture income has been exempted, or it's a provincial subject. Provinces do nothing. So where is FBR, and what is the remedy for that? हम कहाँ से earn कर सकते हैं? National tax pool में less than 1% is coming from agriculture. It cannot work like that. Secondly, sir, मेरे ख्याल में tax slabs में जो lower middle class और middle class है, it is being hurt. जो salaried class के ऊपर ठीक ठाक लगा है. Third and final thing, unfortunately, Karachi generates more than 90% for the province. There is a provincial government which directs funds from Karachi to rural districts and does not spend here. Where does Federation come? Federal budget may, if it is only 43-47 billion, it is insufficient. Federal government has to take care of that. Thank you.
इन 3 सवालों के जवाब ले लेंगे, फिर पीछे आ जाएंगे. बहुत शुक्रिया. मैं यहाँ आ जाऊँ. हफीज शेख साहब, आपको जहमत करनी पड़ेगी, क्योंकि माइक सारे यहाँ लगे हुए. तो अगर आप वो ऑन एयर करेंगे ना.
The finance minister never talks about the exchange rate. At least this finance minister doesn't. And the interest rate is the domain of the Monetary Policy Committee of the State Bank of Pakistan. So I don't talk about that either. देखें जी, हर शख्स को इजहार राय जो है उसका हक है. The beauty of this country is that any analyst, any person who is a genuine economist or anyone who is posing as an economist can speak to their heart's content every evening. And that is the beauty of democracy, and we have to appreciate that and welcome that. اور حکومت میں رہ کر سہنے کی عادت ڈالنی چاہیے اور دل بڑا کرنا چاہیے. So that is now about کہ 5.5 کو 5 کر لیں اور انٹرسٹ ریٹ کو اتنے سے اتنا کر دیں تو وہ ٹارگیٹ اتنے سے اتنا ہو جائے گا. That's good arithmetic, okay? But the real world, you have to take decisions based on what the realities are and what your policy goals are. And sometimes there is a bit of a trade-off between one goal and the other. Jaise maine kaha ki we have two very important goals. One is to increase exports and the other is to maximize revenues. Sometimes at the margin there may be a little bit of friction between those two goals. And we have to strike a balance. Jahan tak institutional support ka sawal hai, Jalal Saab ka. So, if you do successful reforms, if you do show commitment, if you demonstrate that you are not in it for yourself and your family alone, then I think the people of Pakistan will give you the leeway and the support. And you are seeing that at this moment, the big institutions of this country are coming together to try and provide that support. Usko sustain karne ke liye ek sensible set of policies have to be preserved and the results have to appear before you can broaden the net and the constituency for sustaining the reforms. क्योंकि कई चीजें ऐसी होती हैं जिसमें दिक्कत आती है और जो rewards हैं they are down the line. अब हमारी एज ए गवर्नमेंट ये कोशिश होनी चाहिए कि इन दिक्कतों का जो अगर कोई पीरियड है तो उसको कम से कम रखा जाए, उस दौरान में जो कमजोर तबके हैं उनकी मदद की जाए and get to the point where people can really benefit from the hard decisions and the reforms. टैक्स स्लैब्स का जहां तक है तो ये क्वेश्चन तय किया जा सकता है कि लोअर मिडिल क्लास कौन है पाकिस्तान में. कुछ लोग समझते हैं कि जिनकी 20,000 आमदनी है वो लोअर मिडिल क्लास हैं. कुछ लोग समझते हैं जिनकी 40,000 आमदनी है वो लोअर मिडिल क्लास हैं. क्योंकि इस मुल्क की एक एवरेज इनकम है और उसी के तनासब से आप कह सकते हैं कि कौन क्या है. क्योंकि सारी दुनिया में सब अमीर समझते हैं कि वो मिडिल क्लास हैं और सब मिडिल क्लास समझते हैं वो गरीब हैं, है ना. सो वी हैव टू आस्क आवरसेल्व्स दिस क्वेश्चन कि अगर एक हुकूमत अपने आखिरी दिन पे आधे टैक्स पेयर्स को खारिज कर दे, is that a good sensible policy for the future generations of Pakistan? तो मैं आपसे हम्बली ये रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा कि जो भी टैक्सेस थे इस फ्रीक डिसीजन से पहले, इस वक्त जो टैक्स रेट्स हैं वो उन सब से बहुत कम हैं. और 6 लाख अगर आपकी आमदनी है, 50,000 रुपए आपकी आमदनी है माहाना, तो आपको 0 टैक्स देना है. और अगर 1 लाख रुपए आपकी आमदनी है माहाना तो आपको 2,500 रुपए देने हैं सालाना. यानी 12 लाख रुपए आपकी आमदनी है तो 2,500 रुपए देने हैं. तो अगर कोई 12 लाख कमाने वाला कहे कि मैं 2,500 मुझ पे लगा दिया गया है और मुझ पे बहुत बोझ पड़ गया है, तो फिर मैं ये फैसला आपके ऊपर छोड़ देता हूं. जिन लोगों ने ये बनाया है वो भी आपकी तरह थोड़ा बहुत दिल में दर्द रखते हैं, और अगर लोगों को तकलीफ होगी तो सबसे ज्यादा जिन लोगों को उन्होंने कहा है कि आप हमारे लिए फैसले करें उनको दुख होगा. तो इंशाल्लाह वी आर यूनाइटेड ऑन दिस that we should not burden anybody beyond their capacity. So this is where we are.
Thank you so much.
एग्रीकल्चर का देखें, आपके आईन में लिखा हुआ है कि एग्रीकल्चर के ऊपर टैक्स लगाना सूबों की जिम्मेदारी है, और ये इतना वाज़े अंदाज में लिखा हुआ है कि इसमें कोई गुंजाइश नहीं.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I will just reply on agriculture tax. Agriculture tax, as you know, is a provincial subject, and we had a meeting with the provincial governments of the KPK and Punjab, and we have asked them, and they will try to do it, the maximum slab agricultural income tax from 15 to higher rate. The one thing which you must have seen in this budget is that we have deeply analyzed the agriculture economy, and we have come to the conclusion that a real agriculturist and the consumer, they are both the sufferer. The money is made by the middleman. If you look at this dynamics, that, as you have said, I must have seen in the speech of the advisor also, that the agriculture middleman in the garb of agriculture income is making a lot of money, which I call Aarti Mafia. And if you look at this budget, there used to be a commission on the Aartis, which is collected by the local bodies. That was 10,000 rupees per year. And that is the maximum increase has been done. Now it has been increased to 1 lakh rupees, 10 times. If you look at this budget, if you have read this document, the commission income of Aartis, which was presumptive taxation, that will be removed, and the Aartis taxation, which was 10,000 rupees per year. Now there are thousands of the Aartis in this local market area. Their tax has been increased from 10,000 to 1 lakh rupees. This is the highest ever increase in this thing. And the second thing we have done in the agriculture is that we have kept open the space that for some certain sectors where we are saying that there is a loophole and taxation is not being done, because the agriculture trading and agriculture business is not easy to capture, because that is much less documented than the others. So we are trying to, we may come up further taxation on the middleman of the agriculture sector. And just to reiterate what Sheikh Sahab was trying to say on salary taxation, we have tried our best not to touch the first slabs, and we have increased the lowest slab to a further extent. If you look at the difference, we have added one new slab in the salary sector. So that's my answer on this question.
Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum ji, bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Let me begin by thanking the organizers to be here with you today. It's a great pleasure to share my views. आपका जो सवाल था उसके जवाब देने से पहले मैं एक दो पॉइंट्स आपके लिए अर्ज करना चाहता हूँ. सबसे पहले तो ये है that the finance advisor mentioned my appointment here, and I just wanted to tell everybody this is an honor for me to serve my country, and I want to say, give a message to all overseas Pakistanis who are doing well to look for opportunities to serve your country. I'll also tell them that it's not as difficult as it seems. आप आएं, आपके लिए opportunities यहाँ होंगी, हमारा मुस्तकबिल रोशन है, and inshallah there will be lot to do together. So that's number one. I wanted to put my appointment in a broader context. दूसरी बात मैं आपसे ये भी अर्ज करना चाहता था कि from the State Bank perspective, I have two immediate goals right now. एक तो ये है that, as you know, we had a challenging economic situation. इसमें in a short-term basis, day-to-day basis, we have to manage that. And so my number one goal is, with the experience that I have and the support that we have from the highest level and from the economic team, to keep a firm hand on the economic rudder of this ship. Okay, that's number one. But concurrent with that, I also have a goal, K. State Bank, which is a premier institution in the country, usko further modernize karne ke liye achhe ideas kya hai. So today, I also want to tell all of you, if you have ideas on how this premier institution can be modernized further to achieve its goals, I am open, and my doors, my office is open to you, and I would welcome any and all constructive suggestions to that effect. अब आ जाएं आप interest rates पे जो आपने सवाल किया, and as the finance minister mentioned, देखें इस सवाल को जवाब देने से पहले it's very important कि आप सोचें कि जो interest rate policy है उसका मकसद क्या है. That's a critical thing you have to think before you answer the question. And on that, people can have a debate, different people can have different views. But एक जो interest rate policy का बुनियादी मकसद होता है, वो ये होता है to fight inflation. महंगाई को कम करने के लिए central banks के लिए जो tool होता है, वो होती है interest rate policy. Interest rates के और भी consequences होते हैं, जिस तरह आपने कहा या और लोग कहते हैं कि उससे interest expense government का होगा. I'll address those as well. But put the question of interest rates in its proper context के मकसद क्या है किसी काम करने. Now, in central banks around the world, especially those central banks who have been successful in fighting inflation, they have several objectives. They have price stability, they have financial stability, and they have promoting growth. Okay. Now, the key lens from which you want to look at interest rates, and that's what we try to articulate in our monetary policy statements, is that interest rate policy is set in a forward-looking manner to bring inflation down. So, if you see that inflation is projected to increase, that is one of the most important considerations that you have to take into account in setting interest rates. Interest rates are set by the MPC, which is an independent body, as the finance advisor also mentioned. और उस पे मैं आपको एक और बात अर्ज कर दूं कि while we are standing ready to fight inflation, and we will, there is also a very fundamental qualitative change in the outlook for inflation. और वो ये वजह है जो फाइनेंस एडवाइजर साहब ने जिक्र किया है कि जुलाई 1 से शुरू होके गवर्नमेंट स्टेट बैंक से नहीं बोरो करेगी. The world over, one of the key causes of inflation is monetization of the fiscal deficit. When the central bank prints money, which is essentially what it is, to finance a deficit, that leads to inflation. ये एक qualitative structural चीज है, which all sound economists would not challenge, कि जब central bank money print कम करता है या उसको रोक देता है, तो उससे एक structural improvement आ जाती है inflation की outlook में. ये एक बहुत अहम बात है जो मैं चाहता हूँ कि आप सब इस पे गौर करें. And that is a commitment by the government of Pakistan, as mentioned to you by the finance advisor here. So जब आप inflation outlook को देखते हैं और जब आप interest rate outlook को देखते हैं, तो ये चीज़ें आप अपने जहन में रखें. Finally, I would say कि जो आपका या जिनको आपने बताया कि वो ये comment कर रहे हैं, the one perspective about the interest expense of the government, जिस लेंस से वो कह रहे थे, that is one of the points that should be looked at. But you have to decide whether you want to set interest rates based on that, or you want to set interest rates based upon bringing inflation down. इसीलिए many countries do not follow the overall deficit of a government, which means the primary deficit plus interest expense. For everybody, I'd like to tell you, overall deficit में आप total expenditure देखते हैं जिसके दो हिस्से होते हैं, interest expense and non-interest expense. अगर आप interest expense को निकाल दें तो जो बच जाता है, that's called primary expenditure. Okay? Revenue minus primary expenditure is your primary deficit. Countries follow that, and the reason for that is because interest rates are out of your control. Interest expense is out of your control. And in fact, if you're obsessed with reducing your interest expense, then you will continue to do what other countries have done and found it to be disastrous, which is to continue to try to use the state bank or other institutions to artificially try to reduce the interest expense. So my request to everybody in the audience would be again on interest rates to please remember that this is the tool that central banks have to fight inflation. That is how the Monetary Policy Committee of the State Bank also looks at it. And as far as the interest expense of the government is concerned, put it in the broader context, look at the budget, usme jo structural cheezein hain, usse the overall deficit and the primary deficit will come down. That's a much more sustainable way to address the economic problems. Shukriya.
I'll request you guys to just stay here, not run off to the podium every time. Yes, please go ahead.
My name is Khwaja Jahan Zeb, and I am in the tourism business since more than 40 years for Pakistan. My company name is Zeb Travels. As you all know, this tourism industry of the world is a $1 trillion industry, and first time in the history of Pakistan, Pakistan unlocked by this great new government for the foreigner. And now, when I go to the northern areas and all historical sites, we see foreigners coming to Pakistan. My humble request for this tourist facilities, we need a lot of equipments like transport, like for the marine tourism, we need the sea sports equipment, then we need skiing resort equipment and other all equipment the used for the tourism industry. So this is my humble request, and my second request with the Governor of State Bank of Pakistan, the million of dollars people remit outside Pakistan for the holiday maker of Pakistanis. There is no proper way through the commercial bank we can remit the money to our counter tour operator abroad with Pakistanis utilizing their holidays abroad. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. One question and then Zafar. Here and then Zafar.
जी अपना मेरे एक सजेशन थी हफीज साहब आपके लिए कि आप माशाल्लाह से एक्सपोर्ट को प्रमोट करना चाह रहे हैं और बहुत अच्छी बात है और एक्सपोर्ट को प्रमोट करे बगैर डेफिनेटली मुल्क की मीशत की बेहतरी नहीं आ सकती लेकिन मेरी इसके अंदर एक वो थी कि अभी तक कोई एक्सपोर्ट पॉलिसी नहीं है और जो एक्सपोर्ट पॉलिसी थी वो सिर्फ 5 सेक्टर्स के लिए थी अच्छा मेरा उस 5 सेक्टर से कोई ताल्लुक नहीं है मेरा पैकेजिंग इंडस्ट्री से ताल्लुक है और मैंने पिछले साल तकरीबन 1 बिलियन की पैकेजिंग एक्सपोर्ट करी है दुनिया के 16 ममालिक के अंदर और आगे जो मेरा नेक्स्ट ईयर टारगेट है वो 2 से 3 बिलियन का है लेकिन वो तमाम सहूलियत जो 5 सेक्टर को मौजूद थी उनमें से कोई सहूलत जो है वो अदर देन 5 सेक्टर के लिए नहीं है तो मेरी एक रिक्वेस्ट है कि आपकी एक पॉलिसी ऐसी आनी चाहिए कि चाहे कोई 1 बिलियन के एक्सपोर्ट कर रहा हो चाहे वो पैकेजिंग एक्सपोर्ट कर रहा हो चाहे वो स्पाइस एक्सपोर्ट कर रहा हूं तो आपको जो एक्सपोर्ट का नेटवर्क है वो बढ़ाने के लिए एक ऐसी एक्सपोर्ट पॉलिसी लानी चाहिए जिसके अंदर हर एक्सपोर्टर के लिए बिजली भी सब्सिडाइज होनी चाहिए उसके पास गैस का कनेक्शन भी होना चाहिए
थैंक यू We'll take one more question and then come back to the stage. Zafar, आप ले लीजिए please.
अस्सलाम वालेकुम जी.
Zafar को दे दीजिए please. Thank you.
Thank you. Ji, one of the points that we all know has been a big drain on our national economy is our public sector enterprises. You gave us a very comprehensive overview, but didn't say much about privatization or the public sector. So I'd love to hear your views on that and also the fate of the Sarmaya board. Thank you.
Okay, we are going to hold your horses. Let them respond to these 3 questions and then we go back. Hafeez Sheikh साहब आप लीजिएगा.
आवाज तो आ रही है ना जी. देखिए जो टूरिज्म के क्वेश्चन की आपने फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल अप्रिशिएट योर पॉजिटिव कमेंट ऑन सम ऑफ द एफर्ट्स दैट आर बीइंग मेड ऑन द टूरिज्म फ्रंट. आई थिंक इस बजट में शब्बर साहब आपको बताएंगे जो चीज़ें टूरिज्म के लिए की जा रही हैं. ऑल्सो देयर इज़ अ लॉट ऑफ एफर्ट. द प्राइम मिनिस्टर हिमसेल्फ इज़ वेरी वेरी कीन ऑन द टूरिज्म front, and as you've rightly pointed out, in the north you can see real visible activity, and that's a good sign. And inshallah, this trend will continue and multiply. The second point about the remittances, also I'd let the governor, react to that. जहाँ तक आपने जो बात की ना कि आप पैकेजिंग कर रहे हैं, और I totally agree with you. We cannot have a country of 220 million people with such amazing array of resources simply be focused on 5 so-called export sectors. Okay, every sector can become potentially an export sector if they can demonstrate that they have the competitive advantage. So I've been impressed by some of the newly emerging sectors, and perhaps we also need to reach out to them, like pharmaceuticals, like IT, like yours, and so on. So I think there are good stories that are emerging in other sectors. And we have to see, because ये एक dynamic concept है कि किस चीज़ में हमें competitive advantage है, और क्यों कुछ industries जो हैं वो over time उभरती हैं. So I think you have a good point. We have to come out with a more comprehensive and a clearer statement on that. जहाँ तक PSCs का ताल्लुक है, तो देखें कोई I have been a strong advocate of public sector reform. I also believe that government should not be in the business of doing business and should focus on their core job, which is making good policies for the country and providing national defense and a good judicial system and taking care of some of the basic needs of our citizens like health and education and drinking water and so on. और जो चीज़ आप लोग कर सकते हैं बेहतर अंदाज में वो किया जाए. So this whole business of public sector enterprises is on top of our agenda. You can expect that inshallah in the coming weeks, now that the budget appears to be, behind us, we still need to get it passed and we still need to refine it. Then you can expect a clearer statement on our approach towards the public sector companies.
Sir, on the tourism side, if you look at the custom duty exemption, we have especially reduced duties and almost finished the duties on prefabricated tourism buildings, and I was told that there are systems by which you can install the hotels in 1 or 2 weeks or something like that. So we specifically placed exemption for those things, and then the resort or whatever it is, the staying place can be made in a day or a week. So that has been exempted. If you look at the custom duty exemption, you will find a special clause for that. So that is, as Shiekh has rightly said, we are trying to minimize the cost of installing the export tourism business. And in the Finance Act also, we may have missed out some tourism areas of Sindh and Gilgit. We will add those areas also, because there is a lot of tourism possible in Sindh also, and in the Gilgit area, Baltistan area also, that we will put in. So that's my suggestion on tourism.
ये जो remittances वाला, I think it was a comment and a suggestion which we have duly noted, and I also have my colleagues in the audience, and that's a good suggestion. We will look into it further. More generally, we are keen to see how banks can play a bigger role in intermediating remittances, both inwards and outwards, because uska फायदा दूसरा ये है कि it all is well documented, and इस पे हम सोच रहे हैं. If you have further ideas on that, specific ideas, I'm also very happy to entertain them as well at the State Bank.
We had a question on Sarmaya board and privatization.
Yeah, as I said, you will hear from us in the coming weeks a comprehensive and a bit more articulated policy towards the public sector enterprises. कि उनमें से किसको प्राइवेटाइजेशन के लिए रखना है, किसको रीस्ट्रक्चरिंग के लिए रखना है, किसको मैनेजमेंट कॉन्ट्रैक्ट के लिए रखना है. So all that is being thought through, and I think, inshallah, perhaps when I come next to Karachi, I should make a statement on that.
Thank you. Okay, now we will have the mic for Abdul Qadir.
Sir, I would just like to add one thing. Sheikh Sahab was telling about the local sale of exports. We can share some. We had a sale of the lawns yesterday, and we have a movie. Just somebody has sent me a movie that there were 2.5 hours waiting line on the shops for the local sales of textile in Kutch. So I will show you just for you. Yesterday.
Yesterday.
My name is Qadir Memon, and I am currently serving as the president of Pakistan Tax Bar Association. At the outset, I would like to congratulate for 2-3 very specific amendments, and I think the amendments which you brought in the areas of the immovable property, the taxation of the immovable property, I'm sure that the investment will come from the immovable property to the businesses and to the capital market. The another area which has been highlighted and which has been very taken to bring the concept from the known pilot to simplify and bringing into the 10th schedule, I think that is also very commendable, except that we have to form some SOPs, etc. But my question to you, Mr. Sheikh Saab, that you have very rightly pointed out that the Pakistan unfortunately could not be able to sustain its growth for more than 2 to 3 years. Should we consider this budget as a journey towards that continuation of the growth? And if so, then what are your short-term and the long-term goals?
Fatima Asad. Will you take the next question from Fatima Asad? And then from Waqarul Islam, sir. Fatima.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum. Fatma Asad from Abacus Consulting. My question centers around the minimum tax that has been increased for the services sector, specifically on the outsourcing business, and that constitutes a certain portion of our overall organization. And I believe that is detrimental to a viable and sustainable growth of organizations which are working in the services sector, which obviously would lead to unemployment and other considerations and loss of investment as well. So my request is to reconsider that increase from 2% to 4% and make it more in line with the non-services sector, which is at 1.5% of the minimum tax. I would like to hear also the rationale behind that increase to the 4% minimum tax. Thank you.
Thank you, Fatima. Waqarul Hasan साहब एक सवाल और लेंगे, फिर जवाब लेंगे, फिर वापस आएंगे.
अस्सलाम वालेकुम. वक़ारुल इस्लाम. 2-3 क्विक कमेंट. एक आज डॉन की हेडलाइन है जिसमें गवर्नमेंट की 2 ऑर्गेनाइजेशन की तरफ से 2 फिगर्स हैं, उस पर क्लैरिफाई कर दें. एक इन्फ्लेशन का फिगर है 13% और एक इन्फ्लेशन का फिगर है 8.5% फ्रॉम 2 गवर्नमेंट बॉडीज. बजट में अलग है और इकोनॉमिक काउंसिल का शायद अलग नंबर है. और इसी तरह जीडीपी ग्रोथ के नंबर में भी कंफ्यूजन है, 4% है या 2.4% है. ये डॉन की अभी ऑनलाइन हेडलाइन है, उसको प्लीज़ क्लैरिफाई कर दीजिएगा. एक सवाल फैसल ने कराची के मुतालिक किया था, तो आई वुड रियली लाइक टू गेट सम इंसाइट ऑन दैट कि 43 बिलियन काफ़ी हैं और कैसे कराची को प्रमोट करें. A city we all love, and advisor also mentioned about it. Services का सवाल फातिमा ने पूछ लिया, which is something I wanted to ask. Last question, IT को सबने बहुत फोकस करने को कहा, बहुत शोर रहा. PMIT टास्क फोर्स भी बनी है, हमने उसमें बड़ी रिकमेंडेशन बना के भेजी. बजट में एक भी मैंने मेंशन नहीं, कम से कम मैंने नहीं देखा उस टास्क फोर्स के काम का, और IT को प्रमोट करने के लिए क्या करेंगे. थैंक यू.
Okay, इससे पहले कि मैं इन सवालों के जवाब दूं, I want to bring your attention to this asset declaration scheme जो गवर्नमेंट ने आपके सामने पेश की है. I would like you also play your part in motivating your colleagues and others, because ये एक अच्छी स्कीम है. इससे जो है benami assets, whether they are properties or bank accounts, they will be mainstreamed into the economy. اور جس طرح آپ کو پتہ ہے ایک لا ایگزسٹ کرتا ہے اور اس کی جو مطلب ریکوائرمنٹس ہیں کافی ٹف ہیں، تو یہ ایک اچھا موقع ہے ان ٹف ریکوائرمنٹ سے بچنے کا. اینڈ ایٹ دا سیم ٹائم جو دوسرے بھی ایسٹس ہیں وچ آر ان نیڈ آف گیٹنگ وائٹ اینڈ اینڈ انٹیگریٹڈ ان ٹو دا اکانومی، تو یہ اپرچونٹی ہے. اینڈ آئی تھنک وی شوڈ move as much towards documentation as possible. اچھا، جہاں تک قادر میمن صاحب کا سوال تھا کہ شارٹ اور لانگ ٹرم میں، دیکھیں اس وقت جو سچویشن ہے اکانومی کی، ہم یہ کہہ رہے ہیں کہ یہ اسٹیبلائزیشن کا فیز ہے، اور اسٹیبلائزیشن کا مطلب یہ کہ استحکام دیا جائے اور جو ٹوئن ڈیفیسٹس ہیں ان کو ایک طرح سے چیک کیا جائے، اور اگر قیمتوں کے بڑھنے کا کوئی خطرہ ہے تو اس کو چیک کیا جائے. اینڈ دس پیریڈ شوڈ ناٹ لاسٹ اور شوڈ بی فرام آور پوائنٹ آف ویو ایز لٹل ایز پاسبل. اور یہ اگر فیصلے ہم کرتے ہیں اچھے انداز میں اور ایک اسٹیبلائزیشن کا جو گول ہے یہ اچیو ہو جاتا ہے، دین وی ہیو دا پلیٹ فارم فار پرسوئنگ اے لانگر ٹرم گروتھ. لیکن اگر فاؤنڈیشنز ویک ہوں گی اور ہم ہاچ پاچ پالیسیز کر کے 3-4 سال گروتھ اٹین کر لیں لیکن پھر ریورسل ہو کیونکہ فاؤنڈیشنز ہی درست نہیں ہیں، تو دیٹ از اے لیسن دیٹ وی ہیو لرنڈ. اور اسی لیے میں نے جو نمبر 2 بگ فیکٹ پاکستان کا بتایا وہ یہی تھا، کیونکہ ہم پہلے بھی آئی ایم ایف کے پاس جا چکے ہیں، پہلے بھی ایک کرائسس لائک سچویشن سے ہم نکل چکے ہیں. But that doesn't prove lasting. So this time I think we have to collectively think how to make things last. And that's why I think we should be hopeful, because at least we know that this government is sincere. It doesn't have a hand in the cookie jar, and at the same time, it's reacting solely to what the people want and is willing to sacrifice also personally. تو میرے خیال میں اگر ہم اچھی پالیسیز بھی دیں اور ایک اچھی فاؤنڈیشن بھی رکھیں اور اسٹیبلائز کر لیں تو پھر انشاءاللہ وی ہیو بیٹر پراسپیکٹس فار سسٹیننگ آور گروتھ. آپ کا جو فاطمہ اسد صاحبہ کا کوشچن ہے وہ آئی تھنک شبر صاحب آنسر کرنا.
فاطمہ آپ جو بات کر رہی ہیں میں بالکل سمجھ گیا، وہ آپ منیمم ٹیکس کی بات کر رہی ہیں. سروس سیکٹر وہ 2 پہلے 8 تھا تو ہم نے 2 کر دیا تھا، اب 4 کر دیا. تو آئی تھنک اس پہ تو آپ خوش ہو جائیں گے 2 کر کے. بٹ وٹ آئی ایم سیئنگ وی ایز شیخ صاحب ہیز گائیڈیڈ می دیٹ اینی کنسٹرکٹیو اینڈ پروڈکٹیو تھنگس وچ وی فیل ریزنیبل. ابھی ٹائم ہے ہمارے پاس، آج 15 تاریخ ہے، 15-30 تک بجٹ فائنلائز ہوگا. جو بھی اچھی کنسٹرکٹیو سوچ آئے گی ہم اس کو امینڈ کریں گے فائنینس ایکٹ کے اندر. مگر اس میں میری 2 کنڈیشن ہیں. پہلی بات تو وہ ڈاکومنٹیشن کو پروموٹ کرنے کے لیے ہو، پریزمپٹیو نہیں ہو، اور کوئی ایسی چیز نہیں ہو جو ہمیں ٹیکس سسٹم کو ٹیکس فائلر اینڈ ٹیکس سسٹم کو بڑھانے کے لیے ہو. ہم کوئی ایسی چیز نہیں کرنا چاہتے جو کہ جس طرح قادر صاحب نے کہا ہم شارٹ ٹرم میں اگر کوئی ایکشن لے لیں گے تو وہ لانگ ٹرم میں ہمیں سسٹینیبل نہیں ہوگا. تو جو آپ کی بات درست ہے ہم اس سے کام کریں گے. کمنگ بیک ٹو دی آئی ٹی صاحب، جو آپ نے خان صاحب آئی ٹی کی بات کی تھی، اس میں بھی اگر آپ کے اسپیسیفک کوئی اگر انکم ٹیکس ریٹ کوئی اگر سبجیکٹ کوئی کنسیڈریشن ہے تو میں اس کا آنسر دوں گا. کمنگ بیک ٹو ایک سوال قادر صاحب نے کیا سسٹینیبلٹی کا آن دی سسٹم. اگر آپ فائنینس ایکٹ 2019 کی امینڈمنٹس کو غور سے پڑھیں، ہمارے پاس بڑے آسان آپشنس اویلیبل تھے. ہم چاہتے تو سیل ٹیکس کا ریٹ بڑھا کے 17 سے 19 18 کر سکتے تھے. ہمارے پاس کمپنیز کا ریٹ بڑھانے کا آپشن موجود تھا. پیسے ٹیکس کریڈٹ کرنے کے آپشنس بڑے آسان ہوتے ہیں. ایک اسٹیٹ کے پاس بڑے آسان آپشنس ہو سکتے ہیں، آپ کسی کو کل کر کے ٹیکس لے دیں. مگر اگر آپ تھیم دیکھیں گے جو پوری فائنینس ایکٹ 2019 کی ہے، جو شیخ صاحب کی گائیڈنس میں ہمیں شیخ صاحب نے کی گائیڈنس دی تھی کہ آپ اس میں ڈاکومنٹیشن اور اکنامی کو پروموٹ کریں. اگر ڈاکومنٹیشن اکنامی کو ہم پروموٹ کر سکے اور انشاءاللہ تعالیٰ کر لیں گے تو پھر ہم سسٹینیبلٹی آف دی ٹیکسیشن بیس کی طرف چلے جائیں گے. ہم نے پاسٹ میں پریزمپٹیو ٹیکسیشن اسکیم اناؤنس کی. جس طرح شیخ صاحب نے کہا ہم نے لیگلائز کیا نان فائلر کو کہ آپ نان فائلر بن جائیں اور آپ تمام حساب کتاب سے باہر ہیں. ہم نے لیگلائز کیا 236W میں کہ اگر آپ پراپرٹی انڈر ویلوڈ کریں ڈفرینشیل جو کہ آپ کا ٹیکس ہونا چاہیے وہ لیگلی وائٹ ہو گیا. تو وہ سب چیزیں اگر آپ جو آپ تو ٹیکس کے گرو ہیں, آپ پاکستان آل ٹیکس بار کے پریزیڈنٹ ہیں, اگر آپ ہمیں بتائیں کہ کون سی ایسی چیزیں ہیں جو کہ لانگ ٹرم میں اس بجٹ میں کوئی ایسی چیز ہے جو شارٹ ٹرم ہے. اگر وہ شارٹ ٹرم ہے تو میں اس کو ریموو کرنے کے لیے ہم تیار ہیں, مگر اگر کوئی لانگ ٹرم میں, جس طرح فار ایگزامپل ہم نے لا میں یہ لایا کہ جو بھی ان رجسٹرڈ کو سیل کرے گا وہ اس کا CNIC ہم لیں گے. ٹھیک ہے. اب مجھے کل پتہ لگا کہ کل کراچی میں بعض سیمینارز میں سے بڑا اعتراض ہوا, مگر وہ CNIC بھی اگر نہیں دے سکتا تو پھر یہ کیسے ہوگا. اچھا, لاسٹ بات جو میں بار بار سب چینلز اور ہر بندہ مجھ سے یہ بار بار بات کرتا ہے کہ جی یہ 5500 کا ٹارگیٹ بہت بڑا ہے اور یہ 5500 کا ٹارگیٹ کیسے پورا ہوگا. ٹھیک ہے, یہ ایک بہت بڑا ٹارگیٹ ہے, بہت ایگریسو ٹارگیٹ ہے, مگر اس سارے بجٹ کو بنانے سے پہلے میں نے اور شیخ صاحب نے بیٹھ کے ہم نے یہ اسٹڈی کیا بہت ڈیٹیل میں, اور ہم شاید آپ سے شیئر بھی کریں کسی وقت, کہ پاکستان میں کون ٹیکس دیتا ہے. یہ ایک بڑی متھ ہے کہ کون ٹیکس دیتا ہے اور کتنا دیتا ہے. ہم نے یہ انالائز کیا کہ ٹوٹل ٹیکسیشن کا سیلری کا ٹیکسیشن کا ٹیکس 100 بلین ہے. 400 بلین میں سے 4000 بلین میں سے 100 بلین. سب سے زیادہ شور وہاں سے آتا ہے, ہم اس شور کو برداشت کرنے کو تیار ہیں. 4000 بلین کا ٹیکسیشن کلیکشن ہے, 100 بلین سیلری کا ٹیکسیشن ہے. ٹھیک ہے, ہم اس شور کو برداشت کرنے کو تیار ہیں, مگر اگر آپ سیکٹرل وائز اسٹڈی کریں کہ پاکستان میں کون سے سیکٹرز ہیں جو اکنامی کا مین فیکٹر ہیں اور وہ ان کا کنٹریبیوشن ٹو ٹیکسیشن کیا ہے, پھر آپ ٹیکسیشن میجر ڈیسائیڈ کر سکتے ہیں. اور کون سے سیکٹر ہیں جو کہ ٹیکس جو ارن کر رہے ہیں اور کتنا وہ اپنا سیل ان رجسٹرڈ پرسن کو کر رہے ہیں, وہ آپ کو بتائے گا کہ کون سے سیکٹرز ہیں جہاں پہ ان ٹیکس منی ہے. تو یہ جو بار بار مجھے کل بھی میں سن رہا تھا, جس کا ذکر زید صاحب کا ذکر آج بھی ابھی ہمارے انہوں نے بھی کیا, ہم ٹیکسیشن ان لوگوں سے لینے نہیں جا رہے جو آلریڈی ٹیکسڈ ہیں, بٹ ہمیں یہ بھی اندازہ ہے کہ آلریڈی میں بھی آپ کی سائڈ پہ بیٹھا تھا ساری زندگی, ہمیں یہ بھی اندازہ ہے کہ کون سے سیکٹرز میں ٹیکسیشن کی انسیڈنس ہائیلی لو ہے. اور وہ اور یہ آپ سب ایگری کریں گے کہ جو اگر وہ ہائیلی لو ہے تو پھر آپ کو اس کو ٹیکس کرنا چاہیے. فار ایگزامپل ابھی آپ جب آپ اس ٹیکسیشن کی بات کریں گے لوگوں سے تو 2 چیزوں کی بات ہر آدمی کرے گا آپ سے مہنگائی کے سلسلے میں, ایک چینی اور ایک ایڈیبل آئل. یہ میں آپ کے سامنے, ایڈیبل آئل پہ ٹیکس پہلے بھی تھا, نیا ٹیکس نہیں ہے. اب یہ کوئی اگر کہے کہ ایڈیبل آئل پہ ٹیکس لگ گیا تو وہ غلط سمجھ رہا ہے, اس کو ٹیکس کی سمجھ نہیں آئی. پہلے بھی ٹیکس تھا اور زیادہ تھا, وہ پریزمپٹیو تھا اور بجلی کی بیس پہ تھا. ہم نے اس کو ٹیکنیکلی کم کیا ہے. اب اگر آپ خبروں میں یہ پڑھتے ہیں کہ ایڈیبل آئل پہ ٹیکس ہو گیا تو وہ پھر اس کا مطلب ہے کہ وہ پالیٹکس کی جا رہی ہے اور وہ بغیر سمجھے اس پہ بات ہو رہی ہے. دوسری بات چینی کی ہے. چینی پہ آلریڈی 11% ٹیکس تھا اور 17% کیا گیا, اس کا 3 روپے 24 پیسے کا فرق پڑتا ہے. کیونکہ جب ہم نے چینی کی ریٹ کو اسٹڈی کیا تو ہم نے یہ دیکھا کہ چینی میں جو مل مالکان ہیں ان کی سیل پرائس اور جو مارکیٹ کی سیل پرائس ہے اس میں بہت بڑا ڈفرینس ہے, اور وہ ڈفرینس جعلی ڈیلر اور جعلی کمیشن ایجنٹ کا ہے. اور آپ نے اخبار میں اس کے بارے میں خبر بھی پڑھی ہوگی کہ ہم نے کچھ 40-50-60 جعلی ڈیلر جعلی لوگوں کو پوچھا کہ آپ ڈیلر ہیں, تو کسی نے کہا میں ڈرائیور ہوں, کسی نے کہا میں چوکیدار ہوں, کسی نے کہا میں مالی ہوں. تو جو سیل ٹیکس میں جو 17% ہے وہ بھی ٹیکنیکلی اگر آپ مجھ سے پوچھیں تو وہ ایڈجسٹمنٹ ہے. تو اور ابھی کسی نے مجھے میسج دیا کہ آپ جب سیمینار میں آتے تھے تو بہت آپ ہنسی خوشی ہوتے تھے, آج آپ بڑے افسردہ لگ رہے ہیں. میں افسردہ نہیں ہوں, بٹ وٹ آئی ایم سیئنگ کہ کیونکہ رات میں کسی بہت لیٹ پہنچا تھا, بٹ وٹ آئی ایم سیئنگ کہ وین وی آر گیونگ اے ٹاسک تو وی ہیو ٹو ڈو ان اے سرٹن مینر, اینڈ یہ چیزیں میں شیخ صاحب کے ساتھ مل کے آپ کے ساتھ شیئر کرنی چاہیے ہمیں, کہ عام آدمی کو پتہ لگے کہ پاکستان میں کون سے سیکٹرز, کون سے حضرات ہیں جو ٹیکسیشن نیٹ میں انسیڈنس ان کا بہت لو ہے, اور کچھ حضرات ان کا انسیڈنس بہت ہائی ہے. اس ٹیکسیشن میں آپ کو ایک اور چیز نظر آئے گی جو آپ نے شاید پتہ نہیں غور کی یا نہیں کی. ہم نے کوشش کی ہے کہ हायर इनकम पे सबका टैक्स रेट एक ही हो। दुनिया में हर जगह पर कॉर्पोरेटाइजेशन की जाती है। कॉर्पोरेट का रेट हमारे यहाँ ऐसा वक्त आ गया था कि कॉर्पोरेट का इंसिडेंस ऑफ टैक्स 54% चला गया था और नॉन कॉर्पोरेट का कारोबार करने में आपका रेट बिल्कुल डाउन चला गया था। इफ यू लुक एट द पाकिस्तान, वी हैव डी कॉर्पोरेटाइज्ड पाकिस्तान, वी हैव डी इनकॉर्पोरेटाइज्ड पाकिस्तान, we have de-industrialized Pakistan. These are the three things which we have done. If we can correct it, I am not saying everything has been done this year, but as Sheikh Sahib has explained to you, the policy appears to be and rightly tried to gauge those things. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I am extremely sorry. We have questions from Dr. Bari, yourself, and many others. We don't have the time. And all of... Please sit down. चलिए डॉक्टर बारी आप कर लीजिए और दिस इज इट लास्ट क्वेश्चन। डॉक्टर बारी से सवाल ले लेते। ये सवाल इंडस हॉस्पिटल का हुआ।
नहीं, मेरा सवाल इंडस हॉस्पिटल के नेशन का है सर। हेल्थ इंडिकेटर्स पाकिस्तान की दुनिया में सबसे नंबर 1 है। मैटरनल मॉर्टेलिटी सब कुछ है। बेड हमारे पास 0.9 पर 1000 है, जो कि कम से कम 5 होने चाहिए। जापान में 13 है। और हमको हॉस्पिटल्स को लिमिटेड जो है मेडिकल इक्विपमेंट्स के ऊपर एग्जाम्पशंस है, ड्यूटीज़ के ऊपर एक्सपेंशन के लिए नहीं है। हमने रिक्वेस्ट कोई सालों से करते आ रहे हैं और कुछ हॉस्पिटल्स को है मुझे उनको ख़त्म नहीं करने। होटल इंडस्ट्री को सब कुछ फ्री है और जहाँ मसाइल हैं हॉस्पिटल हमारे हेल्थ के, हम MDGs को अटेन नहीं कर सके। हम सिग्नेटरीज SDGs के हैं, 2030 तक हमने अचीव करने हैं, हम उसको नहीं कर सके। आप कौन हॉस्पिटल बनाएगा? हम ये नहीं कह रहे कि कमर्शियल हॉस्पिटल्स को आप करें, एटलीस्ट जो फ्री काम कर रहे हैं उनको तो एग्जामिशंस दे दें। आप उसके कोई SOPs बना लें, इसके लिए कुछ कर दें।
थैंक यू डॉक्टर बारी।
सर फिर जो है ना, देखें जी
सर, देखिए मैं
लेकिन मैं यही कह रहा हूँ, देखिए बात ये है कि फिर मेरे पास चारा क्या रह जाता है, फिर मैं कोर्ट पे जाऊँ। देखें ऐसे हॉस्पिटल्स जो प्राइवेटली पैसे बना रहे हैं उनको एग्जाम्पशंस 100% है। वो टिश्यू पेपर्स के ऊपर भी एग्जाम्पशंस है। और जी
देखिए आपका क्वेश्चन भी मेरे पास आया था और जो एंट्री नंबर 9914 है वो 500 ज़्यादा वेलफेयर को ऑलरेडी एग्जाम्पशन है। जो सवाल ऑलरेडी एग्जाम्पशन है 9914 में। अगर आप मुझसे ये कहते हैं कि सीमेंट और कंस्ट्रक्शन पे भी एग्जाम्पशन हो जाए सर, मैं पॉसिबिलिटी देखने के लिए तैयार हूँ, मगर वो पॉसिबिलिटी सीमेंट की इंपोर्ट पर और सरिये के इंपोर्ट पर बनती नहीं है। मगर अगर कोई रास्ता आप मुझे देंगे तो मैं ज़रूर उसके लिए कोशिश करूँगा। मैंने आपके अकाउंट में समझा था।
राइट, थैंक यू सो मच। थैंक यू। प्लीज तशरीफ रखिए, प्लीज शबर तशरीफ रखिए। वी विल इनवाइट द चेयरमैन KCFR फॉर अ क्विक वोट ऑफ थैंक्स। थैंक यू सो मच।
Thank you, Ji. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. First of all, let me thank Dr. Hafeez Sheikh at short notice, Shabazai Saab and Bakir Saab for coming here. For me, it was very unreal because, we were sitting here, the government's economic A team, and as a soldier, I used to think that LC was a girl when I came out of the army. Now, the thing is that what you need out here, and I think it's been quite correctly expressed, is you've got to get down to the basics of it. And I think enough has been done to arrest a declining situation. And now you have to build upon it. And I think all of us have to contribute. I think we've got a room full of filers, I can say so. So I think we need to get down to it. I'm very grateful as for a short notice, 30 hours notice, we managed to have this. We have a long line of this thing. Thanks to all the guests that were invited, 70% of them. And thanks to the 30% who were not invited, but they are here. And thank you. But on the other side, let me just say that I first met Dr. Hafeez Sheikh in 2004 when, as the president of the All Pakistan Securities Association, I went up to see him with 18 points. He was the Sindh Minister for Finance. And for 10 years we've been fighting this case out. We walked out in a state of shock because it was solved in that day. And he is the only time then, if I remember correctly, I may be wrong, but I think that's the only time Sindh was a surplus province. Sindh has never been before that a surplus province and never been afterwards a surplus province. I hope you will carry this into Pakistan, right? Thank you very much everybody for being here.